Steeler Nation, we are less than a week away from the kickoff of the NFL season, and we are a week away from when Steeler football is back and we are in Atlanta to play the Falcons. Preseason is over with, and the 53-man roster is out, and this is me looking at it for the first time, and this is me just going over it, really, I should say. I do have a couple of things to say in regards to it, but overall, it's an even mixture of good and very questionable. But let's go over it. I'm Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. So preseason has been over for about a week now, and I am just reviewing the 53-man roster. Again, I know I'm late to the party with this one. A lot of things outside of YouTube I had to take care of, but I have some time to knock this out right now. So let's just go over the 53-man roster real quickly, and I'll give you my input. So let's start with the offense, as always. Quarterbacks, I don't think this comes as a surprise to anyone. We have Russell Wilson, who, to absolutely no one's surprise, anyone with half a brain cell could have guessed, he is the starting quarterback, and he will be the starter in Atlanta for week one. So, again, no surprise right there. I knew that the second that we got him back in spring. Justin Fields is the backup. And then we have Kyle Allen. So those are your three quarterbacks for the Steelers right there. Again, no surprise right there. Anticipated it. Running backs, again, not really a surprise. We got Najee Harris, we got Jaylen Warren, and Cordell Patterson. Again, no surprise right there. And then we get to the weaponry, which is something that I have some concerns with. First of all, let's talk about the receivers. We're going with a 5-receiver set this year, and we're going with Calvin Austin III, Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, George Pickens, and Roman Wilson, assuming that he is able to play at some point this season. I know he's been dealing with an injury lately, but assuming he is healthy to play enough, he will be part of that receiving corps. So again, 5-receiver set right there. Taking a little bit of room to, it seems like that we made a little bit more room to keep Scotty Miller, but overall, you look at this receiving core, it just looks a little thin to me. I know that the Steelers were in the talks pretty much all off season with the Brandon Ayuk drama and the Brandon Ayuk sweepstakes, whatever you want to call it. But the thing with that, I'd like to have Brandon Ayuk on the team, but he seems like just another locker room drama issue right there. And any Steeler fan who's watched the team from like 2017 to about 2022, somewhere around there, you'd know that's the last thing that we want, with all the antics going on in the locker room, more specifically with wide receivers, players acting out. Ayuk just seems like another one of those. I mean, like I said, he'd be a great addition to have, and he'd immediately be our number one receiver, in my opinion. But you take a look at that, and with the fact what the 49ers wanted in that trade with the Steelers, we needed to basically outbid Washington in that deal because they could have offered a lot more than we could have. I don't think Omar Khan could have outbidded Washington, realistically. And the fact that the 49ers wanted 2 high draft picks from us for next year. Okay. I'd love to have a solid number one. I'd love to have a guy talented like Brandon Ayuk. But you know what else I want? I want this team to have a future at the same time. And while Omar Khan and Kevin Colbert are two completely different GMs, the one thing that they both have in common, they are not for getting rid and mortgaging futures. Okay? That's the one thing that they have in common. So, yeah, it sucks to kind of let Ayuk walk like that. But if we're talking about what's best for the Steelers as far as the future goes, we can get a receiver that could develop into that number one down the road. So I think it was a little bit of a smart move to walk on him right there. Plus, I knew the 49ers were going to sign him to an extension. So, and they did the other day. The 49ers extended him the other day. So, again, that just leaves our wide receiving room very thin. I think a lot of these players, really need to step up. So, like, unless George Pickens can really have a breakout year, and unless Calvin Austin III can really become useful to this offense, this wide receiving core, it has, like, I'm not saying it's bad because it definitely has talent. It's just really thin. So there you go with the receivers right there. Then you look at the tight ends. We're going with a four tight end set. Arthur Smith has always been, four tight end set heavy offenses right there, even when he was with Atlanta and Tennessee. So you take a look at the tight ends. We got Muth, McCole Pruitt, and Darnell Washington. And of course, you got Connor Hayward, who is a tight end fullback hybrid. So I'll just count him as a tight end right there. So obviously, yeah, I mean, that's just Arthur Smith's offense right there. You basically got 9 receivers right there, 9 targets to throw to. But Arthur Smith. I foresee the Steelers throwing, across the field a lot this season, trying to move the ball across the field. That's just kind of like what Arthur Smith's offense revolves around, plus with running the ball heavily. So pretty much again, a lot of checkdowns, a lot of 5-yard passes, a lot of passes that probably will just barely pass the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's just pretty much what the offense is going to look like right there as far as passing the ball goes. So really nothing new if you've been following this team pretty much since Big Ben retired. Then you take a look at the O-line, and this is where I'm really concerned with the offense. So you take a look at the O-line. You got Spencer Anderson, James Daniels, Troy Fautanu, who is still nursing an injury as of this recording right now. I'm currently recording this on August 31st, Saturday morning. You got Zach Frazier, you got Broderick Jones, you got Ryan McCollum, you got Mason McCormick, Dan Moore Jr., and Isaac Seumalo. So, yeah, the O-line right here, really thin, really weak. And the thing here, it's still weak. And my biggest question is that how long does it take to fix up an offensive line? I mean, this is something that Steeler fans have been screaming about for the better part of the last half decade or so. The last time that we truly had a great O-line, you got to go back to like the Killer B days. And so that's just like, how long does it take to fix the line? I mean, at least we tried to do it in the draft with getting Troy Fautanu and Zach Frazier. But here's the thing: if you tuned into I believe we played the Texans the first game of the preseason, whatever it was. If you tuned into that video, I said that I blame the Steelers for not addressing, getting depth and not fixing up the left and not fixing up the right side, because when Broderick Jones was playing on the right side, he was getting punished. He was getting flattened. He was getting pushed around. He was getting bullied. He was getting abused, whatever you want to say about it. That right side is incredibly weak, and it just got weaker now because Troy Fautanu is still hurt. I mean, not saying that when Troy Fautanu comes back, it's going to make an immediate impact on the right side, because that's where Troy Fautanu plays, on the right side. But what I am saying is that you only keep 3 tackles with Broderick Jones, with Dan Moore Jr., and with Troy Fautanu. Okay, you have to plug Broderick Jones back on the left side, because that's where he strives at, And then, of course, Dan Moore Jr. has been a massive disappointment for us, and I really don't know what to expect with Troy Fautanu right now because he's a rookie. Basically, we have no one at tackle if that void can't be filled except for maybe Spencer Anderson. And like I said, I blame that ever since Omar Khan became GM of the franchise when Kevin Colbert stepped down. Okay? I've been a fan of Omar Khan. I've been an advocate of Omar Khan. I've liked the moves that Omar Khan has done. I've liked how aggressive he is. The one thing that I criticize Omar Khan about is not fixing up the right side of that O-line and not getting enough depth piece. I hold Omar Khan 100% accountable for that. Okay? So if this right side continues to get bullied and this right side continues to just be the weak link of this O-line, and Omar Khan still doesn't address it next year, I'm going to be a lot more critical of him. Like I said, I think Omar Khan is aggressive. He's way more aggressive than Kevin Colbert ever was, pretty much in free agency. But that right side is still a huge concern. No, I'm not going to, like I said, no, I'm not going to kill Omar Khan for not getting a solid number one receiver. Okay, we can get that in the draft. I will criticize him for the offensive line because, you take a look at how the quarterbacks were able to do, well, the lack thereof in the preseason. Russell Wilson couldn't do anything. Justin Fields basically has to fit everyone's narrative and play like a halfback at quarterback in the backfield and run around in the pocket and miss open guys because this O-line can't give them any protection. Long story short, we need a better swing guy. We need to fix that right side real badly, and we're just real thin here. 9 O-linemen sounds good, but really, you need more. And then you take a look at center. God forbid if Zach Frazier gets injured this season, we are absolutely screwed when it comes to center, okay? Because the Kendrick Green experiment was a complete and utter failure, and Zach Frazier figures to be that guy to be our next center. So if he gets injured, who are we going to play at center? I literally have no one I can think of that we play at center. So all in all, this offense, like I said, a mixture of good, but the one big concern continues to be the constant, and that is the offensive line, man. Now you take a look at the defense. With the D-line, again, this is the meat of the defense right here, pretty much. You're going 9 defensive linemen this year, and we pretty much kept everyone possible that we could. We have Montravius Adams, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, DeMarvin Leal, Logan Lee, Isaiah Loudermilk, Dean Lowry, and Larry Ogunjobi as far as your defensive line goes. I really like DeMarvin Leal coming on here. I think he had a really good camp, and he made some good headlines in the preseason as well. Logan Lee, I thought he earned his way on the roster as well because I think that he is a really good future space, guy right here because once Cam Hayward is gone it could even be after this year where Cam Hayward's gone. I mean, the guy needs to retire. He's on the wrong he's in his mid-30s right now and he's just on his way out and he's nothing but basically just a cap hit for us. So once Cam Hayward's gone, I think Logan Lee is going to be a successor, and then you could probably get another defensive lineman next year as well if you really wanted to go with 9 more D linemen. But overall, I really like this core right here. I think Keanu Benton was a really good pick for us last year, and he had some solid headlines last year. And then, of course, you got Isaiah Loudermilk, another veteran that we got right here, and Larry Ogunjobi, I think, has been a really good addition to us ever since we got him a couple years ago. But then again, he is getting kind of up there in age a little bit as well. But like I said, that's something that we can fix up next year. Overall, I think this D-line is really solid, and I think it's the meat of the Steeler defense. You take a look at the linebackers and the edge. It comes to no one's surprise. We got Nick Herbig. Awesome camp. Awesome preseason. I think he earned it. Alex Highsmith, no surprise right there. Couple of breakout years from him, and he has definitely earned his way in that linebacking core spot right there. Tyler Matakevich, no real strong opinion of the guy. Patrick Queen, Can't wait to see this guy play. I've been saying it all off season. Can't wait to see him in coverage. If there's anyone to fix up that interior linebacking group right there, it is Patrick Queen, coming off a career year in Baltimore, of all places, last year. I mean, sure, he had Roquan Smith to help him out, but he has a really good supporting cast here as well. And I think Patrick Queen can definitely be that guy for us this year. Something that we have been looking for pretty much ever since Ryan Shazier had to call it a career shortly with his injury back in 2017. Landon Roberts, I can't wait to see him back in action. He had a solid year for us last year when he was healthy. Mark Robinson, didn't see a whole lot of him, but from what I hear, he is a really good playmaker in this interior, and I think that he can definitely be vital. You got Peyton Wilson, great preseason from him. I think pairing him with Patrick Queen is definitely going to be really good for this interior core. Can't wait to see Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson going at it. And then, of course, the man who needs no introduction, Trent Jordan Watt, a.k.a. TJ Watt. No introduction, nothing to say right there. That's your Steeler linebacking core right there. It's an exciting group of players right there. Let's see what they got. That's the second best part of the Steeler defense, in my opinion, is the linebacking core. But then you got to take, and plus Cole Holcomb, he's still on the PUP list for at least 4 more weeks. So I think when Cole Holcomb comes back, it's definitely going to make the interior a little bit better, but at least we're getting depth for him. But yeah, I think this interior core is definitely going to be good for the Steelers this year, assuming they can all stay healthy. But then you got to take a look at the secondary. You take a look at the secondary right here. You got Beanie Bishop Jr., Deshaun Elliott, Jalen Elliott, Minka, Dante Jackson, DeMonte Kizee, Miles Killebrew, JPJ, Darius Bush, and Corey Trice Jr. So you're basically going with 5 corners right there, and you're probably looking at putting Beanie Bishop in the slot right there because you really can't put anyone else in there because they got no one who can play in that slot right there. Bottom line, when it comes to corners, especially outside of JPJ and maybe Corey Trice, seeing what I saw from preseason, but then again, he missed all of last year with a torn ACL, I believe. We need another corner, like real badly, and we could probably use another safety because we only really have 2 really good players in the secondary. This is by far the weakest part of the Steeler defense right here, and which is why everyone says that our pass defense is among one of the worst. Because outside of Minka, outside of JPJ, maybe DeMonte Kizee, who else do we really have on the secondary that really pops out at you? I can't really name anyone. So we really need to address that corner spot. We have not done well with drafting corners. We have not done well with acquiring, people in the defensive back. We really need to fix up on that. We need to get something for that, plain and simple. And then the special teams, no one's surprised. Boswell's back as your kicker. Cam Johnston's the punter. And then Christian Kuntz is the long snapper. Nothing else to add right there. So one thing I will say about the Steelers is that Ryan Watts being out for the season, he looked really good in the box. I think, that's really tough for us right there because he had a very promising preseason for us, and now he's going to miss the whole season. He went down towards the end of the Lions game last week, and apparently it was worse than what the Steelers were anticipating. So at least we have a couple of playmakers that can fill the void right there, but I think someone of Ryan Watts' caliber is something that we're going to need, that we're going to miss this season. But in short, this 53-man roster right here for the Steelers, like I've said for a couple of times now, and I'll say it again, a mixture of good and bad. So I feel like if all these players step up and they're used correctly, and they produce, this could potentially be a team that goes back to the playoffs. Worst case scenario, everyone gets hurt again with the injury bug, like we've been getting bit by it over the past couple of weeks now. And then this season just falls apart. So high risk, high reward right here for the Steelers is what I'm getting at with my bottom line right here. But that's just my take with this roster right here. Let me know what you think down in the comments below about it. I'm Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.